If you were told you were too sensitive growing up, it usually did not happen randomly. It happened in specific moments, right after you noticed something, right after you reacted to something that did not sit right after your body picked up on a shift that no one else was willing to acknowledge. Timing matters because it tells you that your response was not coming out of nowhere. You were responding honestly to something that was, in fact, already there. But instead of that being recognized or acknowledged, validated, no, it was labeled too sensitive. Too sensitive sounds like a flaw, like something excessive or misplaced. But most of the time, it's tied to perception. You were noticing tone, inconsistency, the difference between what was being said and what was actually happening. And when you responded to that, it created tension. Not because you were wrong, but because what you were noticing disrupted something that was being maintained. So, instead of the situation being addressed, your reaction became the issue. That shift, it's important. It moves attention away from what's happening and it places it onto you. Now you're the problem, not the behavior, not the contradiction, not the lies, not the abuse. You. If that happens enough, you start adjusting. You don't stop noticing. You stop trusting what you notice. You start running it through a filter. Is this real? Am I reading too much into this? Should I say something? Will anyone even care? You begin to override your initial response, not because it's inaccurate, but because it creates friction. Over time, that override becomes automatic. You feel something immediately, and then you correct it. That correction, it becomes the default. But the original signal does not disappear. It just gets quieter, gets buried. This is where people disconnect from their own perception, not because they don't have it, but because they have been trained not to rely on it, been trained to not trust it. Once that happens, you start looking outward to confirm what you already felt internally. You check other people's reactions. You wait for cues. You look for agreement before you allow yourself to trust what your body already registered. But the environment that trained you to distrust your perception is, in fact, the same environment you are looking to for confirmation. So you stay in a loop, and it's sheer madness. You feel something, you override it. You look outward. You do not get clear confirmation, and then you question yourself. Wash, rinse, repeat, over and over again. The shift is not becoming less sensitive. The shift is understanding what that sensitivity was actually doing. It was tracking, not vaguely, precisely. Tracking shifts in tone, tracking inconsistency, tracking what wasn't being said, tracking the secrets that you were supposed to keep for this toxic parent? No. When you see it that way, you stop trying to shut it down. You start working with it. You don't react immediately, but you don't override it either. You let it register. You let it inform you without needing to explain it or have it confirmed. This is where discernment begins. Not in reaction and not in suppression, but in recognition. Once that stabilizes, something changes. You don't move as quickly. You don't explain as much. You do not question yourself in the same way because you are no longer trying to convince yourself out of what you already knew was true. If you've lived this, you already know the moment this started. You know the moment where you felt something clearly and then immediately told yourself it probably wasn't what you thought. That's the pattern. And that's also where it begins to shift. Not by becoming less sensitive, but by becoming more precise with what that sensitivity is showing you. If you are in that space, stay with me. We're going deeper into this. I am Kat Grace. If this has been helpful to you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And feel free to share this with someone that you think would benefit from it. Until next time, namaste.